The devil is in New Orleans.
Calm down, son. Get your breath.
Bless me, Father, for I have sinned, grievously sinned.
Sign of the cross, son.
I'm a drunk, Lord. I'm a liar. I'm a thief, Lord. I profit off the miseries of other men, and I do it easy. Drugs, liquor, women. I lure them in and grab what they got, Lord. I take daughters with no homes, and I put them out on the street, Lord. And I lie to myself saying I'm giving them roof and food and dollar bills in their pocket, but I look in the mirror, I know what I am. The big man in the big house, stuffing cotton in my ears so I can't hear the cries. And Lord, I drag my family into this mess with me. I shamed my father. I failed my brother.
No, son.
I lost my mother and sister, and rather than fix it like a man should, Lord, I run like a coward. I run to the bottle. I run to the grift. I run to bad beds. I lay down with a man. I lay down with the devil, and he has roots in me, all his spindly roots in me, and I can't think nothing anymore but his voice and his words. Please, help me!
Welcome back, fellow acolytes, to the podcast where we discuss news and updates on our favorite TV shows and books. And I know it's been a while since we all gathered to discuss, and I must apologize, I've been away at the Citadel for surgery. Now, our newest show, which we will discuss today, will be Interview with a Vampire, which is based off of the novel of the same name written by Anne Rice. In my humblest opinion, our Queen of Goth has finally gotten the adaptation she has always deserved. And I won't become the person to trash talk movies which I held so near and dear to my heart for so many years. The original Interview and the original Queen of the Damned may have taken liberties with their source material, but I can be honest with you, my viewers, and myself, and admit my own bias of having not had the opportunity to read the books before exposure to those movies. It was AMC who has officially gotten the new rights to what they are calling the Immortal Universe of Anne Rice's creation. And they have begun, as I've said, with Interview with a Vampire, which is really the beginning of that story. And it has all aired now on AMC and is available for viewing if you stream them or have access to them. And I figured over the next few months I would go through each of them characters presented to us in these first season and kind of compare them to their book counterparts. But for today, we are going to just go over some of the news and just kind of give a little peek preview as to the story that they are displaying for us. One thing that has really encouraged me as well with this is their talk of Lestat's deeper backstory and fleshing out the fact that there was such a long time frame between her writing of Interview and her writing of The Vampire Lestat that she kind of fell in love with the idea of the brat prince Lestat and fell away from the grief of Louis. The marker of Louis's grief comes from the fact that she wrote this first story after the death of her young daughter, and you can feel the grief and the trauma and the horror that was inside her soul afterwards through the whole story. And so it's very encouraging to see that they're trying to make this sort of amalgamation of this character she fell so much in love with, Lestat, while she was writing her memory and her mourning memoir. And we have Louis, who is being played by Jacob Anderson, who played Grey Worm in Game of Thrones, and this is giving him a role that is going to allow him so much more depth than Grey Worm really had. And they did try to give Grey Worm all the depth that he really could, but one thing that's marked is they've changed. Louis is no longer a plantation owner, since he is a black man, and it was not seen very well in the 18th century at the time for a black man to be a plantation owner. They have, well, not the 18th century, sorry, they are in the 20th century. The original story was written in the 18th century, and he would be the original Louis's great something's grandson, still a Creole, and it makes perfect sense for him to be a black as a Creole, and they're placing it right in the middle of all the riots in the time of Storyville and the red light district that popped up in New Orleans. It's all very factual. They've done their research, just like Anne Rice did herself whenever she placed the story inside New Orleans. They've actually filmed Lestat's house, inside the house that is in New Orleans that Anne Rice wrote as Lestat's house. So we've gotten all these different changes and different set dressing changes, but none of them change the core of the character. And like this new change with Claudia, they've aged her up even more than what they had Kristen Dunst aged in the original interview. And that's because you can't put a 5-year-old on screen and expect her to be able to play a 30-year-old or a 40-year-old woman at mentality. That's traumatizing for a child. So they've made her about 14 with an actress who is 18. And they're just really bringing to life the cultural of New Orleans that was not so much on show and that was under wraps that nobody was really proud of, but is still the history and made New Orleans who it is today, and that city what it is today, and the people there who they are today. Like the Fair Play Saloon was an actual place that they've picked and chosen to put inside. It's just all these little different historical facts and factors that I feel Anne Rice would definitely appreciate, since she was at her core first, with these stories at least, a historical fiction writer more than she was the romance and the sultriness and the horror. It's all in there, yes, but it's all meshed together in this wonderful mosaic of grief and fantasy and culture and drama. And this show has just really made me very excited to see what the next season holds. We've not gotten any more news, but I'm going to keep my eye on the horizon and keep you all informed. Be sure to keep an eye out for our character analysis videos, because Lord knows we all want to get inside that brat prince's head. Thank you for listening. Please take a moment and leave us a like, a subscribe, or a comment below with anything you feel we might have left out. Bye.